Welcome to the Ripple Effect by the Alliance. We are committed to raising the frequency of our planet. We'll discuss hot topics, share practical tools and sacred frequencies to reveal the magic in your life. Come laugh, cry, and have fun with us.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Ripple Effect podcast. We're so excited to have you here. You're back with the Alliance. Myself, Sarah, Hannah, and Stacia. Yay. And this week, since Valentine's Day has approached, we decided to do a fun episode about debunking some love myths. So we have 3 of them that we are going to chat a bit about and weigh in on our opinion about them. So let's dive right in. The first one.
The first question I have, how did it get to February?
Oh,
somebody
I'm
tell
like, wait,
me?
what? I'm like, she going rogue on us again. Fuck Valentine's
How did it get
Day.
to February?
I know. That was like,
yeah.
January flew by. That is for sure. Okay, so the first one, you have to love yourself first before someone else will love you back. And I know Hannah is chomping at the bit for this one.
I'll take that one. So that's complete BS. Complete BS. I know so many people that, have their insecurities, have their issues, have a bunch of issues, and yet they have a partner who absolutely loves and adores them. So false.
And this is where we need to put a big false thing across the screen.
and I think go that button of like
yeah.
BS.
I tend to agree with this as well, because I think about like when I met Andrew, I wasn't like this person who was like, oh, I'm like so confident and everybody loved me and blah 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 blah. Like it was something I feel like I fell more in love with myself as I fell in love with Andrew. But it didn't mean that I was like this person who was like, super like, oh, I'm just like, I don't know even how to describe it, like completely and utterly like
in your power.
Yeah, I wasn't. I became that later on, but and it was
because you're doing the work, and also you're with someone that wants you to that makes you want to be a better person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. I mean, how many relationships are there where people are just like putting the other partner down all the time and just squashing them because they can't deal with their light?
No. And the thing was, like, I remember thinking like, oh, wow, like Andrew's so nice. And I had been with people who like weren't that great. Right. And thinking like, it was almost like a foreign concept, and it made me more secure in our relationship as we went. I'm like, oh, this person actually cares about me. They're actually very kind, they're fun to be with. And but I agree. I didn't go into it like, oh, I had to love myself first in order to receive that.
I don't know anyone who doesn't have at least a modicum of insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
Or days where you feel like, shit, I'm having a terrible hair day, or I'm trying 20 outfits on and I feel like nothing works for me today. It's like, it could be the time of the month. It could be that you just ate pizza last night and you're full of sodium and your hands are like the mole, it's like, I don't know, you're like inflamed and filled with water. There's physical things that happen in our bodies that there isn't a constant.
No.
Right? but this doesn't mean we're not lovable.
No. And even
Right?
as we're
And
sitting here talking, I'm thinking like, if you broke it down to like, oh, maybe like someone who's more positive, and yeah, we're gonna have our bad days, but someone who's more positive, like, oh yeah, you have to, if you're more positive, you'll find love. But I'm thinking, no, I know a lot of people are assholes, bitches, and they find love.
listen, I was just on a phone call with, I was asked to be on a phone call and explain this thing that I'm doing. And the man was so lovely. And the wife, like he was, at one point, I feel that he just let me take over because he realized that the only person who could talk her into this was me. But she had such an attitude.
Mm.
And inside of me, I was like, all I want to do is hang up. I don't want to be wasting my time with this person.
Yeah.
And yet, there's this man all concerned about her health and her well-being and trying to do all these things for her. And she's in turn acting like a real spoiled brat.
Mm-hmm.
So just half an hour ago, I was witnessing a relationship where the woman was just, ugh. And the guy was like doting all over her.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't feel that it's fair to tell someone that you have to feel like a queen in order for somebody to treat you like a queen. No, maybe you get someone who actually treats you like a queen, and then you can start believing it.
Yeah.
I think it's the other way around, but
I
you know
agree.
me.
That's what happened for me.
You know me. I'm never gonna tell you I agree with a comment.
What about you,
Hi.
Stacia? Agree, disagree, maybe in
Well,
between?
I do agree. However, if the person is really not loving themselves, they're really going to run the risk of, falling into like a narcissist relationship or someone that's going to take advantage of their low self-esteem, or, that wouldn't be love, but maybe to that person, they're trying to make it into love. And it could really mess them up.
Or they think, they think that's love.
Yeah.
But
And
you know what? Could we call it self-respect?
Yeah.
More than
if they
self-love.
don't know any different, if they're already not, loving themselves or having that respect for themselves, they're going to go about relationships in a much different way. Is there a difference
between loving themselves and someone who hates themselves?
Yeah.
A person who hates themselves, maybe, but I don't know, a person who,
maybe, look,
it's a very,
I don't know about you guys, but were you guys taught to love yourselves?
No.
And we said it the other day, if a friend talked to us the way we talk to ourselves, we'd kick that person's ass to the curb and would never speak to them again.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that there's a difference between self-love and self-respect. Mm-hmm. You may not know how to love yourself. And you may attract someone that will help you find that. And how fabulous. Yeah. And there's a difference, because if you don't respect yourself and you don't know how to draw a line and draw a boundary, that's when you run the risk of getting walked all over.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe you have to love yourself in order to be loved.
I think that's a big missing component to a lot of people, is they don't know how to have that love for themselves. And then it turns into disasters,
Mhm.
because self-respect, self-love,
Self-worth.
whatever you want to call it, it's
Mhm.
when you're wonky in that energy and you don't understand your value, your worth,
Yes,
that's
I
where.
think that right there, what you said, I think is defining what that means for self-love. For like Hannah saying, like, she sees it differently. She sees self-respect and self-love differently. Where you're like saying, like, okay, self-love for me, like, that has to be there in order, like, otherwise, you might be not be you might be disrespected or not loved in
You
the
could,
right way
yeah,
or whatever.
you run the risk of just running
Mhm.
into more complications if you don't have that ability to value yourself.
Yeah. And for me, like I was sharing with the ladies, that I had read this book before I met Andrew, called what did I say it was? Why Men Marry
Why men
Bitches.
love bitches.
Yeah, why men marry bitches. So the reason why I'm sharing this is because when I read that, it wasn't teaching me self-love, but it was teaching me I think more of like the self-worth piece, and like um to, how would I say it, like, not uh I guess set boundaries for myself, but and then not over expect things in return, like, kind of like have this nonchalant attitude, and then it sort of comes, it magnetizes in what you want, as opposed to, oh my god, do you want to get married, do you want to move in together, oh my god, are we boyfriend and girlfriend, and like that energy. So for that, I see it more as like, okay, this was like the confident self-worth piece, but it wasn't like you have to be in love with yourself in order to find someone who will want to stay with you and marry you,
Right.
Yeah.
right? Like that. So it's such a it's such a big myth to talk about, because it could be what you see as loving yourself, I see as different, and Hannah
Right.
sees as different. Like,
Right.
Right. And in the book, what it says, and I agree with it, it's what I say about, so for me, when I'm now, when I'm looking for relationship, there's also a myth of you complete me, that you
oh
have
yeah,
to find, like in Spanish,
that
they say you're half orange, right?
okay, let me add this in then, because that's our next one, is when you read when you meet the right person, you will feel complete.
Yeah, bullshit.
And it's
Okay,
mixing
that's
all of
another
these.
stupidity
I guess
because
she's just gonna be like, these are all fucking.
balls. Yeah, because what we don't understand sometimes is that we are whole and complete beings. And there's a very beautiful experience when you begin to experience yourself as a person, when you begin to treat yourself, when you begin to woo yourself, when you begin to not need someone to go to a restaurant with. Like, I know so many women that, and men, that wouldn't dare take themselves out to a restaurant to eat.
Mhm.
Like, I learned that when I was 19. I went to live in New York. I was in dance school, and at university I was fulfilling my dream of becoming a professional dancer, and I was living on my own in New York City. Now, coming from Mexico, where you can go to the corner without a freaking chaperone, which would drive me up the wall like you guys wouldn't believe. I would always be arguing with my dad and screaming and throwing fits. Why do I have to have a chaperone? Why my brother, who's 2.5 years younger, didn't? I was like, he also needs a chaperone. If I need a chaperone, why doesn't he need a chaperone? right? And it would drive me crazy. And then they let me loose in New York City on my own, living in my parents' apartment by myself
Wow.
at 19. I mean, I wouldn't
Wow.
let me live at 19 on my own in New York City. I mean, no, but my parents trusted me. And I had to teach myself to go to a restaurant and sit there by myself and enjoy a meal. I took myself to the movies by myself because otherwise I wouldn't go, and there was no Netflix, right? I couldn't stay home and chill.
No
So
Netflix,
either I
just chill.
do it, or I stay home, you know, by myself if I'm just waiting for someone to show up and take me out.
Mhm.
So I have been blessed with that ability or that desire to be able to be an independent person and not be beholden to some man taking me out.
Yeah.
And so I took myself to the museum every week. I would go see an exhibit and I would rotate. I'd be 1 week I'd be at MoMA, 1 week I'd be at the museum of at the Metropolitan. And then another week I'd go to the Guggenheim or Frick collection, or I would do stuff like that. Then I would take myself to the movies. And I'd sit at the movies by myself. A lot of people cannot do that.
Mhm.
Okay. But I also learned that I was whole and complete. And I was not going to sit around and wait for someone for me to actually live my life. So what I tell people is bake your cake, frost it, put the decorations. And if someone comes and adds sprinkles to your cake, cool.
Yeah.
But if there's no sprinkles, you still have your fully baked, frosted, beautiful cake. And then go ahead and eat it. Because that thing about you can't eat your cake and eat it too.
I love that analogy with the cake and the person's the sprinkles on top. And that's
Yeah.
exactly it. Like
It
that
just adds color to your life. It adds, it brings your cake to another level.
Exactly.
But you have your cake.
Mhm.
And you're going to eat it. You're going to
And
enjoy
if
your
that's,
cake.
to me, if that's the thing that makes you like, I disagree that it would make you feel complete, because we all have aspirations and things we want to do. And well, I would hope, like, if you stop dreaming and having ideas and aspirations just because you're with someone like that, I feel like, oh my God, that should be an opposite sign, like abort mission. That person should inspire you to do more and be better and keep learning and growing and trying exciting new things and going on adventures. And if that's together, great. But you don't need that person to do that.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why I think that, what a lovely surprise. It could be a lovely thing to have someone love you in the right way. I'm not against love at all. I'm just against not living your life because you're waiting for the perfect love to show up, or you feel like you're not lovable because you're not perfect. I have news for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Nobody's perfect.
And somebody will come and love you in spite of yourself. Right. And in spite of your imperfections.
Yeah.
And
all the things that you,
all
exactly.
the things that make you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have a
can
friend
attest
who
that.
suffers from severe panic attacks, severe, like incapacitating panic attacks because of trauma that she's experienced when she was younger. She can get triggered at any moment for whatever reason. That is a freaking tough thing to live with. She has the most loving, amazing person loving her.
Yeah.
Letting her, stepping away when she doesn't need to be touched or dealt with,
Mhm.
stepping in when she does, and they deal with it. Is it the ideal scenario for anyone? No, it isn't. But if you have a condition, if you have a situation, if you have psychological issue, it doesn't mean that you can't be loved. Then we'd all be screwed,
Yeah.
you know? And then you have these coaches, you have to feel like a queen. You have to know your worth. And before you can be loved appropriately and whatever. And I'm like, okay.
Yes. We've established you don't agree with that. Okay. Stacia, what about you? How do you feel about like when you might the myth, when you meet the right person, you will feel complete?
Well, I definitely agree with this one that that's not true.
Mhm.
But I also see why people feel that, because we're
Mm.
always looking for things outside of ourselves because we don't trust us to know that we have it within us to find it within us. You know,
Yeah.
I say that about certainty. You know, we're always looking for certainty outside of us, where we need to switch it and realize that when we are certain in ourselves, it doesn't matter what's happening around us. We know we're good. And it's kind of the
Oh,
same thing with that, you know, like
yeah.
there's nobody's going to complete you. It's like you have to understand that that's your job. That is what we do, is we find our way to becoming whole. Because I think that there's sometimes a big gap with that, you know.
Yeah.
It's like we understand that, okay, yeah, I'm a whole, but we don't believe it. So
Mm.
until we can bridge that, you know,
Well,
it can be complicated.
But you
yeah,
know what
but I don't think
oh,
we become whole.
Well, we are
I
whole,
think
but
we're whole,
I think we
and we
forget.
just are
We
acting
can't,
fragmented.
yeah, we can't get there because we have this disconnect that we don't believe it because we're always looking outside.
mm,
And so it's like the work that we're doing, it's like you start looking inwards and you start realizing that you fill all the gaps.
mm.
And you make yourself, you know, you make that connection with you. And I think that we are always trying to make that connection with something else because we don't trust us to be this whole, complete, wonderful being that we are.
And you know
Yes.
what?
And
I
I
think
also
that
think,
oh,
go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, I think that's a better interpretation of the loving yourself first thing, because that lands for me. Not the, oh,
Yeah.
you gotta love yourself first. The way you just described that, I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the other thing is we're always waiting for other people on the outside to love us.
Yeah.
So it is kind of, in a way,
Oh, it's all.
it's very nice when you understand that you can love yourself. But I mean, it's just like, I find it like, just like being a parent. Nobody teaches you how to be a parent.
No.
Nobody teaches you to love yourself. Like, there should be a program on
Watch.
uh,
Wait. Hannah's gonna have the next program. Treat yourself
Love
like a
Yourself
queen.
101.
Love yourself. Be a queen.
101.
We'll have
You
her
know,
converted,
but for
Stacia.
children,
Yeah.
do you guys remember this girl that went viral? She was such a cute girl, this blonde girl with the curls. And every morning she would climb up to on her vanity. She had her little steps and she'd step on and she'd climb on, and she was in the bathroom mirror and she was filmed by her mom. I am beautiful. I am
Yes,
powerful.
yes,
I
I
am
remember
this. And
that.
she was just going on and on and
Mm,
on, looking at herself straight in the eye
mhm.
and saying, I am beautiful. I am powerful. I am intelligent. I am smart. I mean, I don't know what she was prattling on and on, but I remember saving that video and thinking, now that is awesome parenting.
Yeah.
Now, that is the way I wish I would have raised my child that way.
Mhm.
You know, one of the most terrifying things for a human, and this exercise, I got it from Louise Hay. I don't know where she got it from, but it's called the mirror exercise. And it's exactly that. Looking at yourself in the eyes, into the mirror, and being okay with you and telling yourself, I love you. People can't do it. She tells in her book, You Can Heal Your Life, that when she would tell people to grab a mirror, hand mirror, and start looking at themselves and telling themselves, I love you. She had this one guy that threw the fucking mirror away. She's like, he threw it like a projectile.
Oh my God.
He was like, he could not. And it goes equally for men as for women.
Mhm.
We're not taught to look at ourselves in the mirror and approve of ourselves.
Oh.
So imagine the whole human race would have disappeared already
Exactly.
if we were waiting to be perfect,
And
to
yeah.
love ourselves, to feel that we're queens. I am a queen, but other than that, you know, feeling like that every day, sometimes it's
Yeah, no, I agree. Cause like I only started to feel that way once I started to do my own self-development. Right. And so that was
Yeah.
2018. Andrew and I
nobody
have been
can
together
make
since
you feel
2014. Right.
anything.
So it wasn't, I found that was my journey for me to find, and it wasn't about anybody else loving me because of it. And it doesn't even make sense because you're right. Nobody would love you or care about you. Self-respect, again, to me is a different thing. And we respect people. Maybe you have respect for someone, but you don't necessarily love them, right? So love's such a big thing. Some people never love anybody in their life. So
It's really interesting that you brought up the mirror, because just today, one of my Facebook friends that I haven't met in real life posted something that said mirror work essentially was narcissistic behavior. And I posed a question as like, why?
yeah.
Because the only time that I've been exposed to mirror work, it was what you just said, where you're literally looking at yourself and really trying to gain that acknowledgement that you're worthy. And you know, people can really have a reaction to that because
that was
they
a
don't
dangerous
feel,
post. Oh my
yeah,
God. That person was trying to push some
worthy.
buttons.
Yeah. So
But
he hasn't responded to that yet, but I was like, that's really interesting, because that's part of the reason why people don't feel worthy, is because if they do, they're labeled. Oh, well, you're a narcissist, or you're, you know.
Yes. And anybody who, oh my God, this could be a whole fucking, you got me fired up now. This could be a whole episode. Like anybody who's like, I almost get emotional from this now. Anybody who's doing that is doing it to like better themselves and try to find that like little bit of like value and worth, and to put that out there. That's no
right.
It's not the narcissist.
I feel that
the narcissist doesn't need a fucking mirror to do that.
Exactly.
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 And not only that, I just feel that it's interesting.
And I don't even do mirror work, but I'm like, that
10
fired
years,
me up.
like when I got divorced almost 15 years ago, that word narcissist was not being thrown around like it is
the way it is now.
Yeah.
It's like,
okay. And I believe personally, like I know some narcissists. There are not as many as people think. Okay. And I just think that sometimes when we don't agree with a person, we begin to call them a narcissist.
mm-hmm.
And I feel that that term is being absolutely overused.
There's a difference between confidence and narcissist.
Well, no, there's a difference between an asshole and a narcissist.
Yeah.
That too. She's
Okay,
like,
they can be an
let me just
asshole,
say it like it is.
but not necessarily a narcissist.
Right.
Okay, a
Exa-
narcissist is someone with a psychological condition. We all have that little bit of, it's like, you're not gonna mess with me. And if you mess with me, I might want to get you right back,
Mhm.
But doesn't necessarily mean that we're all narcissists.
No.
And looking at yourself in the mirror and being able to look at yourself and actually approve of yourself
Right.
is a whole different story than being a narcissist.
Yeah.
From, it's like that to me.
That's such a bizarre. I agree.
It was very bizarre. Very
Yeah.
bizarre.
I'll be interested to see if he writes back to you.
Right.
I'm sure he
I
got
might
a
have
lot
to
of people
follow up.
commenting. Yeah.
Some people just write stuff just to be, just like
Push the buttons. Push the buttons.
Yeah, and
Yep.
just to call attention and
Yep.
whatnot.
Oh
So-
yeah, definitely. That was a polarity post. They were going for that. Okay, so I think we're safe to say we all agree that it myth debunked or whatever when you meet the right person. Okay, so here's our last one. An intense romantic love only lasts for a year or two.
Bullshit.
Are we going to get a label that just bullshit?
I'm going to put something cool on there.
False.
We're going to have a thing just go across the screen. Okay, wait, let's see if we all agree on this. So
Okay.
you disagree. I want to know why. Hannah.
I do not agree with this.
Okay, wait,
No,
are
I
you
think
saying
it's an ebb and flow?
That,
So-
that it only lasts 2 years. Like, why would somebody put a time limit on it? It's all your energy.
you're up, you're done, we're not
Yeah,
having sex
right?
anymore.
Like, if somebody's not willing to put the energy into the relationship, of course it's going to fizzle out. But if you continue to put in the work and make that relationship what it is, like, it doesn't just stop.
Mhm.
It's a co-creation,
Yeah.
and there are ebbs and flows.
Definitely 100%.
There are times when it's like, it's like whatever, and you can rekindle that, and then
Mhm.
it starts up again, and then might cool down a little bit or a lot of it. But
Okay.
it takes two to tango, really, and you co-create the relationship. And I believe that, I believe there are plenty of couples that have survived and not divorced,
Mhm.
who continue to stick it out. My ex-husband would say it has to be easy, otherwise it's not worth it. And I'm like, there are challenging times in life.
Wow, it has
Like,
to be
it's not-
easier. It's
yeah,
not
it has
worth
to be
it.
easy. And I understand that, it's like when you're in the flow, it's amazing. But sometimes we fall out. We wobble. We wobble ourselves in our own lives.
Yeah.
We've experienced the wobble last year, and when Stacia was in the flow and Sarah and I were wobbling, she was like, la, 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 la. And then Sarah and I are like in the flow. And then all of a sudden Stacia's like, whoa, wobbling,
Yeah.
and it's like, I just feel that nothing is permanent. I mean, there has to be a level of A, love, B, trust, and C, commitment.
Okay, I want to
And
add
what
something in
I
there.
feel.
Okay, go
Pardon?
ahead. Finish that. I want to throw
Well, no,
another. I want to throw in.
I just feel that one of the biggest issues is that people only commit when it's easy.
Mm,
And sometimes, life gives you BS and it gives you lemons or whatever you want to call it, and challenging situations. But I feel personally that going through a storm together with someone can really strengthen a relationship.
mhm.
And it look, even with us, right, with moon harvest, let's say, I have a membership program where we work with the lunar energies. And when I started it, I had told everybody, you've got to commit for at least 6 months. Why? Because it takes one full cycle from a new moon to a full moon in that same sign in order to complete this cycle. And I can assure you that by the end of the cycle, close to it, on either side of it, you're going to see results. But don't count on anything happening the first 5 months. Just don't. Come in, do the work without any expectations, and let's see what happens. At one point, I was like, oh my God, what did I do? Did I overpromise? Is this really going to work? Because nothing was happening. But we were all committed and we all showed up. And all of a sudden, it started like freaking popcorn, like pop, 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 and then everything just went crazy. But because you made a commitment to stick it out. And so people go in front of their loved ones, in front of God, and they say, till death do us part, which I believe that's like so messed up. Also, because it's till we both want to. Because one person cannot carry an entire relationship. It's just not, and one person can change the entire dynamic of a relationship, but one person should not be the sole responsible for carrying a relationship to completion.
Yeah, it won't work.
So personally, I think if you're not committed, if you're not willing, if you're not like invested in it and interested, then yeah, it won't work. Like it's guaranteed. Right? But when you're committed and you've gone in front of all your family and friends and God and whatnot, and said, till death do us part. And at the first bump on the road, at the first bump, I'm out. Okay.
Yeah.
Then what the heck were you doing?
Yeah.
Right. And it's so easy now. They've made it so incredibly easy to get divorced. Right. And it's just crazy. And then it's such a nightmare to get divorced. I think they should make it at least as horrible and challenging to be able to get married.
Mm.
Like it should have the same level of horribleness.
Oh my God.
To get married.
That's
Because
Are you
it's
writing this
actually-
topic down, Sarah?
Yeah.
Because if you actually get through the horribleness, that means you actually are in it to win it.
Yeah.
But because like everybody goes in like la-di-da, oh the dress, oh the party, oh the this, oh the that. And then it's like, oh, what is this bullshit? Nobody told me about it.
You know what? That made me think like that's the difference between a marriage and a wedding. There's a difference between wanting a marriage and wanting a wedding, which I can write that down too. But
we could write a book on that one, thanks to freaking Disney.
And I'm just thinking of like, because I did wedding planning, right, for so long. So I could
Yeah.
tell the people who were in
Could
it
you
for the
tell the
wedding.
people that were gonna like blow
I could tell
it
the
up?
people who were in it for the wedding and the people who were in it because they want to get married.
Right.
It's yeah. But
It's
what
so
I wanted
clear.
to throw out here to you both, and Sasha, I know you have to respond too, but do you think it makes a difference? So this intense romance that lasts and oh, I love you and I want to touch you and hug you and kiss you and all the things. If you're with the right person, then that won't fade. I'm not saying yes or no. I'm throwing that out there as an extension to this question. So if you are with the right person, then that won't fade. Like you'll always be attracted to them. You'll always have that intense, like romantic love.
I think the right person, though, is someone that you're going to actually fully trust and communicate with. And so it wouldn't fade because you're building something, whereas you just hit it with the wedding or the marriage. Some people, like, I know we have a friend who he would hide all these things from his wife. I don't know why. Like, oh, I don't want to hear her complain, right? And he was a smoker. He would hide, he would take a toothbrush, his toothpaste, mints, all of these things, different clothes, because he would smoke when he was at work, and then he'd have to come home and hide it from her. And they had such a weird relationship. And I'm like, what if you just like talked? It seemed like it would be so much easier. But people make it so complicated because they're not committed. They don't want to do the work. They just want to have that facade of, well, this is my person, I guess.
I guess this is my person.
There's so many levels to that.
Oh, there's so many levels. Because even me, I got think as you were talking, I was like, oh my God, I'm thinking of like so many scenarios within that.
First of all, trust.
Yeah.
You know, I think that is the basic pillar in a relationship. And the problem is that, like, you know, I'm just going to speak for myself. I trusted my husband implicitly. And I thought he was my best friend. And I thought he had my best interest at heart. And boy, was I wrong. Because just because I had his best interest at heart, just because I was his best friend, just because I was always looking out for him, I always had his back, I just thought I was getting exactly the same thing back, and I was not. But I had blinders on. Yeah. And I just went about believing what I wanted to believe. Right. And that's that thing where we talked about last time about this is reality. This is how you look at life. And then sometimes it gets overlapped. So you're looking, it's like when people say you're looking at life with rose-colored glasses. I am the perfect example of rose-colored glasses looking person. And then when my life went like that, I was like, what happened? I thought, you know, you loved me. I thought you were my best friend. I thought I could trust you. And then I discovered a web of lies, and it's like, what the heck happened? And it completely pulled the rug from under me and threw my world into a tailspin, because I just could not even understand what was happening, because I was living in a world that I had created in my imagination, and I idealized this person as such a loyal person, and people would tell me stuff, and I was like, nope, it's just that he's misunderstood. Bullshit, he was an asshole, and he was a liar, you know. And he was a manipulator, and I could tell you all the things that he was, but I was a willing participant.
And I have a question for you.
I can't blame him, you know, for me believing what I believed.
And did you still have that intense romantic love?
No, I started getting, I was like the cat in the Pepe Le Pew. And I was like, don't touch me, to stay away from me. I started getting like that because it was just like, for me, if I can't trust someone.
Yes. Okay.
Like there's no way I can be attracted to that person. And then all these things started to happen. And I was just like, so it got to the point where I was like, I would pretend to be asleep when he came back from a trip or something, because I knew what would be coming. And I'm like, and it's like, just please let me just not move and be able to pretend that I'm fast asleep, even though I'm fucking wide awake and I'm just like ninja, like waiting,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
if you touch me, I will kill you,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
because you can't be vulnerable with a person that you don't trust.
Yeah. And I agree. I can attest like this, like for me, from my experience, this is bullshit. This thing saying like, oh, it only lasts a couple of years. And I 100% agree with the ebb and flow. I've had that with my relationship with Andrew. And we've had the ebb and flow, but we've always had where, like we still loved each other, but it wasn't like, oh, we're all over each other, but we still had where, we would hug or kiss, and like we were very much touch. What is it called? The love languages. Like ours is both like physical touch and
Physical touch.
yes. So that was something we always had. But again, I think about like my parents. They've been married 45 years. They still hold hands. They act like fucking high school sweethearts. They're so in love with each other. And it's 45 years later. So it lasts more than a year or two. And it's
Definitely. And then
it's
my parents, the other day, I was like,
oh
when my
yes,
mom walked out in the
that was
heels,
so
and
cute.
my dad, I'm like, I better, go wait for the,
Yeah.
give them their space.
My
And
dad
my
always
parents are
jokes. He's like,
85 and 84.
yeah, my dad will be like, oh, we better send the kids for candy. Like just joking around. Like 40, send them for candy. Don't come back for a bit.
And, in March, my parents are going to be married 60 years.
Wow. Like, see, that's incredible.
We
need to interview them.
Me, like when I tell you there's been ebb and flow,
yeah,
there's been freaking ebb and flow.
Mm-hmm.
Stacia,
how do you weigh
survived, major challenges.
Yeah. I'm like, I want to interview your parents. Like we need to have them on.
I'll ask them.
Yes, please. I think that'd be cool.
Now that they're all renewed and
yes, she's got her heels on and feeling good on the patches. And Stacia, how do you weigh in on that one?
Oh, for sure that it's definitely, not true.
Yeah.
It's just,
so we're all like,
besides that trust, I really feel like you have to have that communication because when people aren't communicating with each other, it's so easy to make assumptions as far as, they might be doing something for this, but then over here you're like, but he's doing it for that. And then you build that resentment and then you hold it because you don't know what's going on because you're not talking to each other. So
oh my God, yes, you hit the nail on the head because I think about like, sorry, like Andrew and I, when we've had our the ebbs, it's it was that we were communicating.
No, right.
Yeah. And then like I'm thinking this and then I'm pissed off and it's like, or assumptions or whatever, expectations. And it's like, okay, let's just.
And usually men they're totally not even they're completely not thinking what you're thinking. And then they have no idea why you're mad.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's like that joke. There's a joke and I'm probably going to ruin it, but it was this joke about this person that it's like they're doing some work at home and they realize that they need a hammer. And then they start thinking, well, I'm going to go ask the neighbor for the hammer. Oh, but I'm going to go there and they're going to tell me they don't have a hammer. They're going to lie to me. He's going to say he doesn't have a hammer. I'm sure he has a hammer, but I know he's going to say, well, I don't have a hammer and blah, blah, blah. And they start making up this whole story. Finally, they go he goes to the door, knocks on the door. The guy opens like, you can keep your fucking hammer.
Yeah, that's right. I have heard that. Keep your fucking
So it's kind of like crazy, right? It's like, wow, we make up all these stories in our head and we don't talk. Like, I cannot imagine how many marriages could have been saved.
Right.
Like a lot of the times people come to me when they're going through challenges in their marriage. And it's interesting because having been divorced, they I guess they expect for me to say, just leave them and start over and blah, blah, blah. And the first thing I do is say, work it out.
Yeah.
Let's figure it out, because it's going to be a case of same marriage, different face if you don't.
Yeah.
Like if you take the relationship to a natural conclusion where it's like, okay, yeah, there's no more to do. But I believe that where there was love in the beginning, if there was love, if there was some sort of meeting of the minds where there was some level of connection at any level. Like I know this couple, and he talks about it. I don't know if you ever heard this coach, Alex Hormozy. And if I'm saying the wrong thing, Alex Hormozy, I'm sorry. And if anybody knows about it better, but I heard him in an interview saying that he married his wife because he realized that she loved business as much as he did. And he never, and he realized he found a partner. And he said, he was like, we're business partners. And that's what brought us together, because I'd never met a woman who wanted to work as hard as she did, and who would want to just sit side by side with me and do business, because that's what lights her up.
Yeah.
Right. And when you say opposites attract, and I say bullshit too, because also people who are similar attract themselves. It's not a rule.
No.
He says we were business partners, but they had a commonality, something that brought them together. And I'm sure their love grew as they experienced each other, and they experienced their love. And I'm sure they're very much in love, but there's also ebbs and flows. But also I've known of arranged marriages that have worked. People who didn't even know each other until the day of their wedding, they meet for the first time. That, to me, is like one of the scariest things. But I know of arranged marriages. I've met couples who have been there, whom their marriages have been arranged, and they work and they last.
Yeah.
Right. So there has to be a commonality, and then love can grow out of that.
So that one, we're putting a big debunked across the screen. Yes. Okay. So that was our 3 myths that we want to talk about. Hannah, were you had kind of a fun idea for the end?
Yes, I think we should do that.
Okay. All right.
But I
So
think we should all decide what this person should be like. I think we can co-create.
okay. So we joked on another episode that we were going to chat about like Hannah's ideal mate. If we were put her on a dating show.
Valentine's
we're like getting her dating profile ready here.
So like the attributes of like the gentleman that's coming, is that?
Yes, let's paint a picture.
We're going to actualize them here.
Right. Well, I
Yes.
see him as someone that would be very open to the energy tools that you bring in your, this magic that we're always using. So he would love that as well. That would be.
I love
Definitely.
that. Respectful of you. I think that would be one, like respectful of you, your time, and appreciative of you.
Oh.
Yes, I would like that. Yeah, I can just imagine, my dad has always been telling me I'm a witch for so many years, and saying I do witchcraft and stuff. And now I'm like, the other day I was like, well, he still calls my stuff witchcraft, but with a lot more respect.
Well, see, now you just got to find your wizard to go with you as a witch. So.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So yeah,
Sexy and hot.
Right.
He's got to be good looking.
Well, a
Yeah.
good communicator. We definitely want a good communicator.
Good communicator.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't
But
afraid
not
to.
overly communicating.
Yeah, we don't want over.
Yeah, no, we don't
Overly.
want that.
Because I know some that just like they talk too much. Like someone who doesn't necessarily need to talk in the mornings.
Oh God.
A specific must not talk a lot in morning.
They learned that. Andrew learned that.
Yeah. Like for me, the mornings are so sacred.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get up, and it's changed now that I've been here in Mexico for a few months because there's just zero anything around here. And plus I've not expressed my desire to be in absolute silence in the mornings. So I also have not communicated that desire. But for me, like the mornings are really sacred. And sometimes I get up and I just don't want to talk because I'm in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm planning what I need to do. As
Mhm.
Sarah found out, I don't write stuff down. I have all the filing cabinets within
Yeah.
my brain. And she's like, wait, where'd you keep all that? And I was like, in here. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, in here. And it's like, it's too crazy in there. So I have to make sure
I want to get in there and organize things.
and clean up once in a
Yeah.
while and create my files so that I just can like streamline. Like I'll get rid of shit, like stuff like it's incredible. It just came to my mind that like sometimes like I know like my daughter needs to do something and she hasn't done it. And I keep tabs on all the stuff that everybody around me has to do.
Oh my
And like some days I'm like, can you please just get this done? Because I want to get it out of here.
God. Yeah.
Because I can't get it out of here until it's done. Like until it's like, I can put a check mark. It's like, okay, it's done. We can just file it away.
Mm-hmm.
And you not doing it is causing clutter in my brain. And she's like, what? I'm like, you would never get it. Just get it done.
Just do it, please. Yeah. Oh my God.
So,
Okay.
so
So
in
sacred
the
mornings.
mornings, I would need, some peace and not someone wanting to go like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like,
It reminds me of that episode of Sex and the City where I don't know, did you guys watch it? And she's
which one?
where she's dating Aiden, and every time she would come home, he'd be like, what you doing? Where you been? What you up to? Blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
Yeah. And she's like, finally, she just says, listen, please, for the love of God, when I come home, just let me have, like, I just need to decompress when I come home, chill out, read a book or something. Like, please don't talk to me when I come home. So then he finally, like, he does that for her, and she's sitting there and she has her time. And then she's like, okay, I'm good. She's like, I didn't need as much time as I thought it, but I got my time. And when he finally was like, okay, I'll give her space, then she was good. Then she's like, okay, now I can come and talk to you.
now I can
Don't
come
come
and
at me the minute I come home. Yeah.
yeah. It's like the minute I open my eyes,
Yeah.
like the only person I put up with that is from Emerson, like my
Oh,
grandbaby.
Yeah.
Because he wakes
'Cause
up
he's little.
and he starts, yeah. And I'm fast asleep and it's like 5:30 in the morning. And if he's awake, he's
Oh my
awake
God.
and he wants everybody awake. And
No.
he starts like, yeah, wake up. Yeah, it's day now. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, it took a while. But now it's like, he was here for a couple of weeks and he was doing it. And the day he left, I was like, it's too quiet. Nobody's like
Aw.
yelling at me to get up to play at 5:30 in the
Aw,
morning.
that's, yeah, you would miss that.
So that's the only person I put it up with that I'm
Mhm.
like, I think it's so cute that he's like, although some days I'm like, and he would be like, yeah, open your other eye. And I'm like, I'm still half asleep and I'm going around like this with one eye open. And I was like, I'm only half awake.
That's funny.
But yeah, it would have to be someone that could, I think that someone that would be mindful of my needs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that could be something really surprising to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because my entire life, I'm the one being aware of everybody else's needs,
Yes. Yeah.
you know, and someone who would take me out and tell me, be ready by this time.
Yeah.
I'm picking you up.
Yeah.
Just be ready. And then take me to the restaurant that they've chosen, that they've made reservations. I had recently decided to take up dating
Mm-hmm.
right before I sold my house last year in 2021. I started dating a little bit, and the guys were like, well, where do you want to go?
Right there, you're like, and we're done. Nice talking to you, but we're done.
It's like men sometimes don't understand that.
Maybe they're like, oh, they don't want to like,
Yeah,
like
they
they're
want
trying
to
to be
please
like,
you. They're
Right.
doing it to please you. But what they don't understand is that in order to survive, we need to be in our masculine.
mm,
That means we need to make decisions all day long. That means we're responsible. Stacia and I are both heads of households. We need to decide everything from, will I hire a gardener or do the garden myself? Do I need somebody to fix the roof? The bathroom needs a plumber, an electrician, whatever at home. Then at work, you need to make all these decisions. If you're an entrepreneur like me, you're running a company in a way, you have to decide on so many levels, finances, leadership, just everything. There's such an abundance of daily decisions that have to be made, that if I am going to be wooed by someone, do not, I beg of you, do not expect me to make one more freaking decision.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Ask me, you like French or Italian? French. Okay. That's as far. It's like, ask me what I like, and then
Yes,
take
I love
fucking
that.
action.
Mm-hmm,
Grow a pair,
mm-hmm.
call the restaurant. If you don't know the French restaurants, do a Google search, for God's sake.
Yes.
You don't even have to go anywhere. It's like, find the place, read the reviews, do the research,
Yeah.
and then take me. Don't choose what I'm going to eat. I can do that on my own. But make the reservation, take me to the place. Don't start asking me, well, what do you feel like eating? What do you feel like doing? Now I have to now also come up with a plan. Please, for the love of God, make one decision for me. Take one decision off of my plate. I will love you forever.
Okay, we're putting that at the top of the list.
It's like, just don't make me
Oh,
make more decisions. What do you think about that, Stacia?
Yeah, I like that. And
yeah.
I especially like that you said, you know, just what do you want like to eat? French, Italian, you know,
Mhm.
because that was nice to have somebody just say, do you like Italian food? Yes. Well, let's go out. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And
I dated this guy who knew that I was a vegetarian and took me to Ruth Chris Steakhouse.
okay. That's
Yes.
odd.
You
Do
think?
they have good salads there?
I had side dishes because I can find something to eat anywhere.
Yeah. I
But-
assume he had a steak then?
What do you think?
Yeah.
Why do you think we were there? For me? Not a freaking chance.
Oh my God.
We were
Yeah.
not out there at Ruth Chris's for me.
No.
Okay.
That's a mm,
You think? That was the only time we went out.
yeah.
I was like, I came from freaking Manhattan to go to dinner with him.
Oh, wow.
I drove myself. And then he tells me to meet him at this place at Tarrytown. And I'm thinking we're going to go somewhere after that in the same car. No, he had me meet him at the steakhouse. And so I was like, okay, well, this guy couldn't even come down to the city because he's like, no, I hate the city, blah, blah, blah. Please come. He begged me. And then we end up at a steakhouse when I'm a
Wow.
vegetarian. So I was like, yeah, not going to work out.
No. Oh my God.
And see, the thing is that now my standards are like way out. So I don't know, keep saying qualities, because I'm not sure that the man exists at this point.
Well, we definitely want someone trustworthy and caring. That's
Yes, someone with integrity, please,
Mhm.
who can
Yes.
keep their word.
But not afraid of a challenge should it arise.
No.
Yeah.
No, and if something goes
Doesn't-
awry, that they have the
That's what I was going to say. Doesn't scare easily.
and that they have the courage to come and say things are that things are things are
Like my
working
sign
out. And I
language?
said, I know I gave you my word on this, but this happened, and just be honest and truthful. And it's like, I
Oh,
can
that, yeah,
understand.
that's a pet peeve of mine. I'm like, just tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry about me
Like
being mad. I'm gonna be mad either
sugar-coated.
way. So
Right. It's still gonna hit the fan. It's just
Yeah.
might as well get it over
and when you
with.
find, yeah. Mm-mm.
Because like I blow up, I get mad and whatever, but I have a tendency of getting over it very quickly.
Oh, I'm like that too. That runs in my veins. So funny. But okay, so do you have your guy? Is that enough qualities for now? So we can
Yeah.
we could be here all night, Hannah. Building her like
Yeah.
ideal guy.
Is there any other quality that we might, because I've asked for things, and then I don't ask completely. So we're going to end this with that or something better.
Yes.
Yes,
Just-
that or something better. I like
Yes,
that.
that the universe might think that, I may need someone that loves my family and that will, be okay,
And
will
loves
not
their
isolate
family.
me, will not try to isolate me or give me and it could be this and that, as opposed to this or that. And it's not like ultimatum, like it's me or your family or stuff like that. Somebody that's mature enough that can understand that.
Exactly. And I think the same thing for their own family. My ex, and I should have known, but he would talk to his mom like a piece of shit. He'd call her
Oh,
stupid and like, oh yeah. And then it obviously didn't go well with us, and he was very verbally abusive with me. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense. He doesn't,
Right.
yeah, but
talking
like
nice.
that guy said, life in reverse is easy.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Oh yeah.
In reverse, right? To look at it hindsight, and it's like,
Yes.
yeah, it should
So
have
that
known.
or better, and to come with you, how do you always say, with ease and love and grace or whatever, come into
Yes.
your life.
And that he can be free to move about the globe
Yes.
without having to be
and
stuck to a
yeah,
job.
and
or
likes
anything
horses. Maybe he'll have a horse ranch.
like-
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
I like that.
And my hot air balloon that I want to learn to fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm already in love with this guy.
I know. I'm all excited for you. I'm like, okay, he's not real, but he's gonna be. He's real. He's just not in your life yet.
It's like all my money, all my millions. They're just not in my account yet.
Oh yes, he has money.
Yeah.
He's not
Oh,
after you for your
definitely.
money. He's like,
Yes, that's
he's
absolutely
independent.
financially
But he's not a tightwad,
independent.
because that's another thing. My ex was
No,
very,
please, generous. I cannot put up, like, that's the one thing that my ex-husband was, generous.
Mm,
And it's
yeah,
like,
mine
that
was
was
not.
one of the most endearing qualities.
So-
Generosity, integrity, honesty, loyalty.
Yeah.
important, and an awesome sense of humor.
Yes. And he's out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Send out the vibes.
I'm like, I found all that in Andrew, so I can attest that they're out there.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's the other thing, it's like I see people and I'm like, see that the relationship that I think is available for me exists somewhere. It's not that I've never seen that in my life. I've seen it. I know it's there. I know it's possible.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine, that or something better.
That or something better. I love it.
Well, thank you for that.
Yes, you're welcome. I think this would be a great time to jump to our quote of the day.
Dun,
Quote
dun,
of
dun.
the day. Quote of the day.
Well, it's funny that the quote that I had actually picked, since it was our first myth to debunk, it says, "How you love yourself is how you teach others to love you," by Rupi Kaur from the Milk and Honey book. And I was like, that's really interesting that was the first myth debunked, is like, you have to love yourself. But really how you are loving yourself is giving yourself that respect and that value. And you're teaching people what's okay.
Yes.
And, so I thought that was probably a pretty good quote, but I found it to be rather interesting that
yes,
the way it was worded. I was like, oh, wait a minute. But I'm like, no, you've got to have that respect and that love for you.
And I think it goes to like what you were saying too about like the way you were wording it about like, it's not like, oh, I'm all like in love with myself. It's like being that self-awareness piece and not feeling like you know what I want to say is like not settling.
No, knowing you have value,
knowing you have value. Yeah. Like it's a totally different. That's why I think that one is so it's too that statement is too, and that's probably why it's one of the myths, because of the way it's worded. It's like that statement is just too ambiguous.
Yeah.
Because like we've broken it down so deeply, just the three of us, right? In our own experiences.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So we know to love ourselves the way we were loved by our parents. And they know how love is or not is by how their parents love them. So it's like an imprint, right? But I think we've made a very conscious choice to not repeat the same things over and over again with our children. And we want to stop the imprint and stop the repetition of it from generation to generation. And I think we've been very blessed by it, in order to not have the same thing over again. Feeling whole or acknowledging that we're whole, it's taken work, understanding that we can be a whole unit where what we feel and what we think and what we say and what we do are all in line with each other, so that we're not all fragmented all over the place. We're not feeling one thing, saying another one, doing another one, and just being all over the place. Like all those things have been, we practice it every day. But we don't have to be perfect to be loved. That's the good thing about this whole thing.
I love it. I was going to ask you guys, like, what's your last like one line or your message? And I think that one's perfect. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. Stacia, what's yours?
Oh goodness. I'm doubling down on, having that love and respect for yourself is just key to how you're going to radiate or magnetize yourself for that energy to come back to you. So
nice. I love it. And mine is going to be, I'm gonna go to the intense love one. And I'm just going to say, like, keep playing, have fun. If you find yourself getting too stagnant or bored, infuse some fun into it. And then you'll be like, how many years married? 60 years married, thrown on high heels like your mom, and like strutting down the hallway. And your dad will be like, oh my God. Yeah. And like, go with the ebb and the flow. Like, understand there's going to be ebbs and flows. Don't just assume that just because things aren't hot and heavy right now, that they're never going to be hot and heavy again. It's like just a moment in your relationship. So then it's like, okay, how can I infuse this? Or if it's not a matter of like, oh, I'm bored, it's like, I'm fucking annoyed with this person. Look at why, because then it comes to the communication piece. So
Yep.
awesome. All right. Well, that is our fun little Valentine's Day myth debunking episode for you, girl. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know. Do you agree or disagree with these myths? I really want to know if they agree with Hannah or Stacia. And I'm in here like, I agree with you. I agree with you. Like, I get what you're saying. So I think I'm still like, I don't know, sitting on the fence. But the other two were like definitely debunked. And I want to know, audience, let us know in the comments. Do you agree, disagree? What are your opinions? I'm really, really curious what people think. So that's everything. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time on the next episode.
All right.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to The Ripple Effect by the Alliance with Hannah Martinez,
Stacia Stove.
And Sarah Jane Lita. We hope you're now vibing high and ready to create your own ripple.
Drop a comment or email to let us know the ripple effect that you are creating.
Music by our very own Hannah Martinez and music production by Onel Moulette.
Follow us on Instagram at The Ripple Effect Pod for more high vibration content. Please rate and review us wherever you listen. Until next time.